Happy Thursday, everyone. This is just a general overview or a general review that's just kind of going over all five different possible prompts that you have to pick from. Again, just as a reminder, the way this Casablanca test is going to work, it is an essay test. So you're going to have five extended response style prompts, and you'll have to pick and respond to three of them. And whatever three you pick, I really don't care. Again, it's up to you, whichever three you want. I'm just going to go over some general aspects of each one of these prompts. I'm not giving full responses or going full into any of them. I'm just giving general overviews, giving general ideas, directions to go in to respond to them, or just putting up some more pointed and specific questions just to give you, again, an idea of where to go and how to more fully respond to it. So the first prompt asks about foil characters. And just as a reminder, foil characters, these are characters that are really similar in a lot of ways, but in one or two really critical areas, they're very different. And in Casablanca, to me, there is one really obvious set of foil characters, that of Rick and Victor. These guys are really similar in a lot of ways. They're both roughly around the same age. They have similar backgrounds. Both of them have histories of fighting fascism. The main difference is their outlooks on the world. And to me, this is where the broader themes start to come in, where Rick is characterized as being very cynical and much more of having more of a negative, pessimistic outlook on things, while Victor is the idealist. He's a much more hopeful and positive and optimistic person who has hope that things will get better. And basically, the film uses that that relationship and that dynamic between these two to really emphasize the major theme of idealism versus cynicism, where you have two characters that are really similar, except one's a cynic and one's an idealist, and you really kind of get to see how that theme develops. And an important thing to consider and address if you go with this prompt going along that direction is to consider who ultimately convinces who to adopt their viewpoint, and whose viewpoint overall does the film seem to endorse. Okay. Second prompt is about how the film depicts women and minorities. And to respond to this, the prompt specifically asks how about specific characters and how these characters depict, or how these characters, how these characters depict women and minorities. So for women, Ilsa is the major female character. She's the female lead. And by and large, she's depicted as, again, sympathetic and not necessarily in a negative way. But she's also shown to be kind of over-emotional and dependent on men by her choice. Again, she explicitly tells Rick to think for her and make her decisions for her. And when the time comes and Rick makes a decision that she doesn't like, she still goes with it, even though that's not really what she wanted. So those are some major traits of Ilsa's that kind of lend an interesting lens to how women were viewed in 1940s America. Sam, by contrast, is he's the only black character in the movie. I think there were a couple black extras, but they're unnamed. They don't have any lines. So really, Sam's it. And Sam, by and large, is pretty friendly. He's a nice guy. He's not portrayed, again, in a negative way, but he's also very deferential towards the white characters, even the ones that he's pretty close with. Again, as I mentioned in my videos over this, Sam always refers to Rick as Sir, Boss, or Mr. Rick, even though the two of them seem to be friends. And Rick is very respectful towards him. And even then, all the white characters are pretty respectful towards Sam, but they also make it clear based on the way he acts towards them and how he's kind of deferential towards them and how they act towards him. For example, with Ilsa referring to him as a boy, even though he's older than her. You definitely get the sense that while they respect him, they don't view him as an equal. And society, by and large, does not view him as equal to the white characters. Okay. Moving on. Prompt 3 is about corruption and how the film develops the theme of corruption. So, for me, the most striking aspect of how corruption is depicted and portrayed in Casablanca is the fact that it's just normal. Like, it's just a part of life. It's just something you have to do and something you have to be in order to survive in Casablanca. Everyone is corrupt to one degree or another. Everyone. And there are a lot of different ways that characters are corrupt. Honestly, you can pretty much see all of these on display with the character of Louis, where people bribe him, and as an official, he is open to bribes, both in the form of money and sex. And again, people can bribe him to give them exit visas and help them get out of Casablanca. You have the existence of the black market and all the shady stuff that goes on with the black market, just because it has to escape detection by the Germans and the Vichy officials. You have the illegal gambling going on in Rick's back room, and the fact that the authorities, by and large, know it happens but don't care, overlook it, and even participate because they just don't care. And then you have all the crap you have to do to get an exit visa, how these things are so highly sought after that people are willing to do anything to get one just to get out of Casablanca. And really what these factors show and illustrate is they portray a culture where corruption is just a part of life. It's normalized. And if you want to really get anything or get what you want, if you have to engage in some of these practices to get anywhere, just because of the dire situation people are in, and because of just the way Casablanca is as a city, as a place. Okay. Prompt number 4 is about idealism and cynicism and how character arcs reflect this theme. For me, Rick's character arc best exhibits and develops the theme of idealism versus cynicism, because just in general, Rick starts out as a cynic but becomes an idealist over the course of the film. And you see that change happen slowly with him gradually taking steps towards it, like, for example, helping the young couple by giving them the money so that the woman doesn't have to sleep with Louis to get exit visas for her and her husband. And ultimately at the end, when he decides to sacrifice his own happiness and his chance to be with Ilsa, the woman he loves, you see him sacrifice that for what he perceives to be the greater good. And the greater good of both Victor's fight against the Nazis and also keeping Ilsa safe, even though it means they won't get to be together. So ultimately, because of this, the film endorses idealism. Because Rick is our main character, and his emotional and character developmental journey throughout the film is about him developing into an idealist from a cynic. Okay. Last prompt is about the setting and how the setting helps establish the tone and the theme. So the city of Casablanca it's a really unique setting. I can't really think of any other movie that has a setting or an environment quite like this. Casablanca the city, it's very chaotic and almost kind of lawless just because of all the different people there, all the different groups and factions going on, all the stuff going on underground with like the black market and the resistance movement. And also just because the officials in charge, the Vichy officials, are so corrupt, there really isn't necessarily an established law and order. Ironically, the Germans are probably the biggest lawful presence in the city. Yet Casablanca, just because it's in Africa and it's this far away location, is also kind of exotic. and different and exciting, because it's this weird fusion of this African setting with both being a French and European colony, with a lot of expats or expatriates from all over, from Europe and from America. So you've got, it really is like this cultural melting pot. There, at the time, there was nowhere else like it, because you've got all these different cultures coming together in this one place. While also, it's kind of got this hopeless feel to it, or as I would describe, almost like a purgatory, where you're kind of just stuck there. And it's not necessarily that bad, but it's where no one wants to end up. Like, the whole point of Casablanca, going to Casablanca, is to eventually leave, to get out and go to America. But it's really difficult to leave. It really is kind of like a purgatory. Like, once you get there, you're pretty much stuck. And these traits play into a number of different themes. Again, the lawlessness and the chaos kind of plays up and develops the theme of corruption, because again, everything is so corrupt. There is no law, there's no order, and again, corruption is necessary just to get by and survive. And if you're not aware of it, you're going to get taken advantage of. Again, for me, the bits where the pickpocket is talking to people and acting like he's their friend, and in reality he's robbing them and picking their pockets, to me that kind of sums it up. Where if you're not aware of what type of place this is, it's people who have been there a while and know how to play the game are going to take advantage of you. And also, again, because it's so difficult to leave, it creates this interesting blend of both the hopeful, people hoping to leave, and the hopeless, people who want to leave but have come to accept that they're stuck and they're just going to be there. And that's where it is. So it also kind of reinforces that conflict between hope and hopelessness, helps develop idealism versus cynicism. Okay, so that's my very general, very brief, very quick overview of all these different topics. Again, if you have questions about the test, email me or come to office hours, and we can talk about this and go over stuff. If not, I will see you guys in person on Tuesday.